In this lesson, we're going to write equations for perpendicular lines. Remember, in a previous lesson, we learned that perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. We also know that a perpendicular line forms a right angle, and it's giving the opposite reciprocal slope that gives you then the 90-degree angle. So let's take a look here and find the slope of each one of these. Remember, I have a slope of our first line. I have -2 all over 1, or -2. The slope of our second line, I'm going up 1 over 2. So notice I have the opposite of negative is positive, and the reciprocal of 2, or 2 all over 1, is 1/2. And so again, the opposite reciprocal slopes, opposite is the positive or negative, and the reciprocal is the flip, number or fraction. All right, example 1. How do I write an equation of a perpendicular line given the y-intercept? So we have this original line, which was 3/4 x plus 5. And we want to write an equation of a line that's going to be perpendicular to that line, but it's going to have a y-intercept of 3. So first of all, let's identify our slope of our original line, which is 3/4. And then we need to identify the slope of a perpendicular line. Remember, the perpendicular line is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite here of positive is going to be negative, and the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4 all over 3. So then we need two things to write an equation. Once you have this one, I find it just easier just to get rid of your original equation. So then now you're noticing that you have a slope and you have a y-intercept. And remember, that's what we need. We just need the slope and we need the y-intercept in order to write an equation. So our slope, y, is equal to -4 all over 3x, and our y-intercept is going to be 3. All right, number 2, we have y is equal to 4 minus 2x, and then we have wants to know if we have a y-intercept of 7. So first of all, we're going to write an equation for the perpendicular line to this line right here. So we need to identify the slope. Our slope of this line right here is -2. And so our perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. The opposite of negative is positive, and then let's put that all over 1 so we can find the flip, or the reciprocal, is going to be 1/2. So our slope of our new equation that has then the y-intercept of 7 is going to have a slope of 1/2. So once you have this, now you just notice that you have a slope. We have a slope of 1/2. And then I've got a y-intercept of 7. So now I've got two equations that are going to be perpendicular of each other on the graph, which should be the y is equal to 4 minus 2x, and then the perpendicular to that is y is equal to 1/2 x plus 7. All right, let's take a look at this one. We're writing a line that's perpendicular to this given line, but it has this y-intercept of -3. So first of all, notice how this equation right here, before I can tell what the slope is, I need to solve for y. So let's add 1/2 to both sides, or 1/2 x, I should say. So I'm going to have y is equal to 12 plus 1 all over 2x. All right, so let's identify the slope of this line, which is 1/2. And so then to write an equation that's going to be perpendicular, we have to find a perpendicular slope. So the perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite of positive is going to be negative, and the reciprocal of 1 all over 2 is going to be 2 all over 1, or just 2. And now we have a slope and we have a y-intercept that we can write our new equation. Y is going to be equal to -2x minus 3. All right, in example number 2, we're going to write an equation for the line that is perpendicular to this graph and given point. So we're given a point right here. Our point is 4, -3. So it's going through this point, and it's going to be perpendicular to the line that's given. All right, so to do that then, remember, we need to find the slope of the given line. So let's go ahead and we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. So the slope of this line right here is 4 all over 2, which is equal to 2. All right. So now we need to find our slope of our new line. It's perpendicular. So we have to determine, or we have to identify the perpendicular slope. So our new slope is going to be opposite of positive is negative, and the reciprocal of 2 all over 1 is 1/2. All right, so now, let me just erase this stuff now that we have our slope of our perpendicular. And so it's going through this point for -3. So let's go ahead and from here we would want to go down 1 over 2. So down 1 over 2. Notice how I'm going off the graph. So I'm going to go the other way. So remember, that's the same thing as instead of having the negative on the top, you can move it to the bottom. And so let's go up 1, -2, up 1, -2. And so notice our perpendicular line then is going to be going through that y-intercept of -1. So let's write an equation for our new line. We're going to have y is equal to, and our slope is going to be -1/2, and it's going through the y-intercept at -1. All right, let's do another one. So we have a line given here, and we want it to go through the point 4, 1, and it's going to be perpendicular to the line that's given. So first of all, let's find the slope of this line that's been given. We're going down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. So m is equal to -4 all over 2, which is equal to -2. All right, so we need to determine the slope of our perpendicular line. So instead of it being negative, it's going to be a positive. And instead of having 2 all over 1, it's going to be 1 all over 2. So now that we've identified the slope of that original line and now of our perpendicular line, let's go ahead and go up 1 from this line right here. We're going to go, or I should say point up 1 over 2. And I'm going to go the opposite direction. Remember what we said is to go the opposite direction, -1 all over -2 is the same because 2 negatives make a positive. So I'm going down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And so we have our line here. And now let's write an equation for that new line. Our slope is 1/2. And then we have a y-intercept going through -1 for this one as well. All right, example 3, write an equation of a perpendicular line to the given point. Write an equation of the line that passes through the given point and is perpendicular to the given line. So now we're actually given the equation and we're given a point. And so first of all, remember you need two things to write an equation of a line. You need a slope and you need a y-intercept. So the slope of our given line is -1/3. And so you have to identify, first of all, the slope of a perpendicular line. The opposite of negative is positive. And then we're going to take the reciprocal, which is going to be 3 or 3 all over 1. Doesn't matter. So now that I have my slope of this line right here, I'm going to get rid of that because now I've got my slope and I have a point. So I don't have the y-intercept. You need the slope, you need the y-intercept to write an equation. Remember then, we just plug this into y is equal to mx plus b, and I'm going to have an x and a y. And just like we did for the parallel ones, we're plugging it in, and our slope is 5, and I have -2 plus b. And then I'm going to add, and b is going to be equal to then +11. So now I have the slope, I have the y-intercept, I can plug it back in. Y is equal to, let's see here, 3x plus 11. So now we have an equation of a line that is perpendicular to our original line. Y is equal to -1/3 x plus 2. And it's going through the point -2, 1. All right, so let's do this again. we need a line that's perpendicular to the line y is equal to 3/4 x plus 5, and it's going through the point 3, -3. So first of all, let's identify our slope here, and it's 3/4. So a perpendicular slope is going to be opposite of positive is negative. The flip of 3 all over 4 is 4 all over 3. All right, so now that I know what my slope is, let's get rid of that one. So now what I see is that I have a slope and I have a point. I don't have the y-intercept. I need both the slope and the y-intercept. So let's find it. So I'm going to have my y is equal to -3 is equal to then our slope of -4 all over 3 times 3 plus b. -3 is equal to -4 all over 3 times 3. If you're having troubles getting this, just put -4 divided by 3 in your calculator, then multiply it by 3. -4 plus b, and the b is going to be equal to then +1. So our new equation then will be y is equal to our slope of -4 all over 3x plus 1. So there's a line that's going to be perpendicular to the line given and going through that point 3, -3. All right, in our last one, we're going to write an equation that is going to be perpendicular to y plus x is equal to 7, and it goes through the point 1, -4. So first of all, before we do this one, to identify the slope, we have to solve for y. Y is not by itself. So y is going to be equal to 7 minus x. All right, so now we need to identify the slope of this first. So remember, this is a -1, and now I need an opposite reciprocal. So our slope of a perpendicular line is the opposite of negative is positive, and the reciprocal of 1 all over 1 is 1. So our slope is going to be 1, and again, get rid of this one. I wanted to go through this point. So we're going to have -4 is equal to our slope of 1, our x of 1 plus b. -4 is equal to 1 plus b, and b is going to be equal to -5. So now let's go ahead. We've got the slope, we've got the y-intercept. So let's just write it in our y is equal to mx plus b. So we have y is equal to our slope of 1, or you could just have x, it doesn't matter, minus 5. So a perpendicular line to this line given right here is going to be, and goes through this point 1, -4, is y is equal to 1x minus 5. So in this lesson, we took a look at writing equations that are perpendicular to lines.